Hey guys, this is Maverick from Musings&Review, and right now we are going to be watching episode 2 of Your Lie in April. This is a continuous viewing, so I'm just watching this directly after episode 1. Last episode, I think where we left off, Kaori was about to go to a certain hall and play the violin, I guess. Not really sure why. Maybe she has a performance or something, an exhibition. But anyways, it'll be fun seeing like what kind of works they pick for the violins in this anime. We've already had Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata in the last episode. So we'll see what Kaori does. And also with the interaction between Kaori and Kousei, I'm hoping that we also learn a little bit more about what exactly is a trauma in Kousei's past, why doesn't he play piano anymore, and that kind of good stuff, right? Or of course they could also make it a mystery and review it further later down the road, but hopefully we'll get some more information. So anyways, let's just get into the episode right now. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. No, it's a competition. Really? Shouldn't you be there before it starts? Typically you have to register and say you're there. Never mind. She seems the free-spirited kind of girl, right? Opening? Alright. Well, even though I love this song, we've seen it before, so I'm gonna, in the purpose of saving time, skip it from now on. So, I'll see you guys in a second. And back. I've actually never went to a competition before. Only for performances. No, I haven't been to a competition yet. Neither as a musician or as an audience. Okay, so bring back his past trauma. The pressure? Middle school division competition. This is plenty big, dude. Okay. Excellent. Well, yeah. She just wants to sort of like reignite Kousei's passion for music, for classical music. Alright, let's... She said she's the 4th, right? Oh, are we gonna be able to listen to all of them? Beethoven? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Beethoven. I don't know the specific song, but the style sounds like Beethoven. Okay, so they're all performing the same song. Yeah, there's a set piece, and then there's also a self-chosen piece. I want to hear some Paganini. Come on. Okay, so they didn't bother to animate this. He's probably played this before. Well, too bad we couldn't see him flailing. Mm. Kaori. Okay. Nah. Oh, that's a nice aura. So how's your performance gonna be? Ah, and the flail of the head. Tuning? Now this is definitely from Beethoven's heroic period, if you will. His song, his music during this period just sounded very epic. A nice emphasis. I'm sorry, I can't be of help here. I haven't. I'm not that familiar with this piece. Okay. But basically, what they're saying is they're putting her touch on this piece. Now, high level musicians will have their own emphasis on the music. Now, I'm guessing what the head judge was saying by the tempo changes and whatnot. It's because the pianist, sorry, the violinist is leading this, right? And the pianist is trying to, you're supposed to be focusing on the violinist. So pianist is supposed to be supplementing whatever the pianist is playing and play in sync with the violin. Hmm. It's a competition, not a performance. She just wants to show her music to the world. She's like, I know I won't win. She is so damn positive. Okay, that was the right thing to say. Okay. Okay. Oh, audience choice? That's interesting. Okay. Audience choice. Well, they did say they were doing things a little bit differently. Is he actually going to try and play this? He's smitten. Yep. Hmm. So is this like a coming of age story as well? Okay. Yeah, me too. Hmm? Okay. Oh. Now this definitely looks like a scene out of a movie. He's gonna cover for his friend. Yep. Hmm. I feel like she's doing this on purpose. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Again, a quite interesting episode. I'll see you guys after the ending. Alrighty, so that was episode 2 of Your Lie in April. So we got quite a few things to talk about. Let's start with the music first, right? So the set piece in this competition for this episode is Beethoven's Violin Sonata number 9, right? Now, personally, I'm not that familiar with this piece of music. I've probably heard it before, but I've never played it myself. It's quite distinctively Beethoven, I will say. It really just reeks of the heroic era of Beethoven's music, right? His epicness, those kinds of pounding sounds, if you will. So yeah, I can't really say whether or not Kaori's interpretation is particularly good or bad in terms of even in a competition setting, right? Because a competition isn't really meant for you to say, okay, I need to do things exactly by the book and by the sheet, right? There is a certain degree of freedom allowed for what we call an interpretation, how you put your interpretation on this particular piece of music, and that is indeed something that will be scored upon you, right? So I don't know. Without hearing the original, I don't know how far Kaori deviated from the original. They're making it out to be quite far, but honestly, listening to it, I don't think it didn't sound really wrong or bad to me, right? Well, obviously, it has to have been good, otherwise, she wouldn't have won the audience award or whatever the heck that was, right? So maybe I don't have enough time right now, but maybe next time I'll listen to it and see if I can form an opinion on that part. I mean, I'm assuming that we're probably going to have more opportunities as well, considering that she has actually advanced in the competition. Now, so I went back and I saw that, yeah, they actually did mention an audience award a little bit earlier in the episode. That still caught me off guard, though, because normally these competitions they won't have this kind of fan vote award, if you will, just to keep things fair and based purely on the technical aspects of the playing and the music. So yeah, and since we're on this topic, let's talk a little bit about the competition, right? Because there's some interesting trivia I think I can tell you guys. It's sort of like tangentially related, if we're honest, but hey, that's the way I like to style my videos. I like to dive more in depth and give these kinds of supplementary info, right? So musical competitions and violin competitions in particular. Let's see, where should we start? So it was mentioned within this episode that typically they would start the competition by playing a piece from Paganini or from Bach, right? And that is true to an extent. Although to be honest, I feel like Beethoven and Mozart are all usual suspects anyway. I like I said, I haven't personally been in a competition. I haven't really seen one, but as far to the extent of my knowledge, Beethoven, Bach, Mozart, and Paganini are all good selections for initial stages, initial rounds of the competition. And if you really want to get fancy, maybe you can even throw some Debussy, or however you want to call it, depending on which area you're from, Debussy, or maybe some Brahms in there, right? That's also a possibility. At least for the initial rounds, anyways. And now I'm not really sure like how serious a competition this is. It is only for middle schoolers after all, but I think they are styling it to be a very serious and authentic music competition. So actually later on, what I'm expecting to see is also, so typically these competitions are made like this. You will have a set of music or actually a selection of music which you can pick out various parts. They will, depending on the different competition, it will be styled differently. They might be grouped by grouped by type of music, they might be grouped by composer or whatnot, and you would typically like have to choose some from, you have a degree of choice, right? You choose from each of these categories, and then you set it together into what is called your program. So a program might consist on anywhere from 20 minutes to 40 minutes, and that is all the pieces of music that you will be performing for this competition, right? And typically speaking, you are allowed to change the order, and you know, change the order of the music however you want, and just make it in a way that it fits your style and it fits the, I guess, story you want to tell, in a sense. So later, and indeed, in some more advanced competitions, they will also feature stuff like actually just sight reading. Well, I guess not particularly sight reading, but there will be the chance to have original music, originally composed, like never released before music that was specifically composed for that competition. And sometimes, depending again on the competition, it might be given to you maybe a few days before the actual competition date. It might be given to you one day before. It might be given to you a few hours before. Depending on the complexity and the length of the music in question. It will also test your sight reading ability and your ability to, get be familiarized with a piece of music in a short amount of time. Now, I'm assuming that that's not going to happen with this anime. I highly doubt that they're going to compose an original piece directly for this. But I could be proven wrong. This is a music anime after all, so who knows? That remains to be seen. There's also some competitions which allow you to just freely choose whatever the heck you want to play, entirely of your own choice. That is also possible. So perhaps that could also be shown here as well, especially since we already know that this Kaori likes to have her own interpretation, and she has her own story, she has her own things that she wants to tell, right? So I feel like this kind of setting might be very suitable for what she's trying to do, sharing a specific piece of music that she adores, she loves, and she wants to share this message to the audience, to the world, right? So they could also potentially veer in that direction as well. Another important thing to note is with the accompanist, right? So again, in these kinds of competitions, there will be solo parts where it's just you, a violin. You could also have a violin and a pianist accompanying you. Nowadays, I believe they call collaborative musicians instead, just to make it so like they're more equal to each other. And here again, depending on the competition in question, there's different ways to go about it. Some have a set list or a set musicians there, set pianists there, which all the competitors would use together. And so you would have to, in a short amount of time, in a limited amount of rehearsals, do your best to synchronize with this, this dedicated pianist, to make sure that you two are on the same page and you can give a satisfactory performance. Now, there are also competitions which freely allow you to bring your own pianist, your own accompanist as well, which I'm assuming Kaori is probably going to do within this anime, right? It seems set up this way, with especially with Kousei already being a pianist himself, except that he has some sort of fear, some kind of drama over him, some kind of trauma that we don't know about yet. But potentially it's setting up for him to become Kaori's accompanist, and so they might enter the competition together, and go on to the later stages of the competition. Like, I'm assuming that's probably what's going to happen. And that is a good thing, right? Because having a dedicated, your own personal accompanist, of course, it would be better for your interpretation of the music, right? Like within this episode, it's mentioned the pianist is trying really hard to keep up with Kaori and the way that she is playing her music. I'm assuming that probably they had very limited time, perhaps even only once, and for maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes rehearsal. It's possible, considering that there'll probably be a limited amount of resources, especially since this is only the mid-school division. They'll probably concentrate more of their resources on the the super serious competitions, if you will. So definitely, especially in terms of how she wants to play it, having a dedicated pianist would be much better for her, and it typically provides the best music anyways, having two musicians in synchronization with each other. I think that's all I want to talk about for the competition parts. What else? Okay, and also if this is a competition, then there's likely the first round, and then potentially just go directly into a semifinal round and then a final round. That's typically how a lot of these competitions are structured. If there was a huge amount of participants, there will typically already be a pre-selection round to filter out less qualified candidates or participants, if you will. Okay, so that's about all I want to talk about for the competition part. In terms of the actual story and the actual, character relations, it's intriguing, right? It's intriguing, especially the scene where Kaori was also trembling at the very end, right? Reminiscent of how Kousei was feeling when he stepped into the hall, and getting back to this sort of familiar surroundings, which was also the source of his past trauma, right? I'm wondering if Kaori is also experiencing something similar to Kousei, and probably this is part of the reason why they will eventually bond, right? Sharing these kinds of thoughts, if you will. But again, that remains to be seen in the future. Now, one conspiracy that I'm actually already thinking of, or should I call it conspiracy? Anyways, one plot twist or something, if you will, that I'm thinking of is in regards to the very end of this episode, right, where Kaori and Kousei were talking about Ryota at the very end, and how Kousei, being the bro that he is trying to cover for him. I'm not really sure if that was Kaori's intentions in the first place, right? Somehow, I don't know, it's just popping into my mind that, the title is Your Lie in April, right? We know that there is some kind of lie being told here right now within these few episodes within April. Or, of course, it could be that this entire anime is just set within 1 month. That could also be a possibility. But I'm just thinking, like, what exactly the lie is. And maybe I don't know, maybe Kaori already knows of Kousei, right? Because Kousei is a sort of ex-celebrity, right? We've seen that here within this episode as well. So, if Kaori was also a classical musician, and at least sort of on the path to become one, I feel like there would be no reason for her not to know of Kousei either, right? So I don't know, I feel like maybe this is just she already knows about him, and this whole deal with Ryota is just a sort of smokescreen, if you will. But again, we'll see, right? I feel like I should just sit back and enjoy this anime, to be honest, right? It's got great artistic style, it's got great music. I should just enjoy it for what it was. But I just can't help but start thinking about all these kinds of different possibilities and situations and whatnot, right? It's fun for me, okay? It's fun for me. But anyways, yeah, as I've been saying for these past 2 episodes, I do enjoy it so far, even though nothing's really happening yet. But I'm not bored or anything. Everything is great. I like the atmosphere that it builds up, especially in terms of the darkness of Kousei and the shining brightness of Kaori. I like this contrast as well, and I am excited to see how this is going to go forward, and hopefully we will get a lot more music as well. Hey, like I said, I wouldn't mind some Paganini. So yeah, fingers crossed. I'll see you guys next time. Yeah, by the way, I'll probably be uploading these episodes 2 at a time. I'm thinking probably maybe every Monday. So, it's subject to change. But anyways, at the very least, stay tuned for videos at least every week, okay? So, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.